Admiral, you have said that the U.S. should accept up to 100,000 refugees from Syria. Let me put to you the same question that the Germans are trying to figure out right now. How?
I think first and foremost, you have to do it safely in terms of security. That means vetting. I suspect the temporary closure of the German border is to facilitate a better vetting process. You use biometrics, you use big data searches, you look at social networks, look at cell phones. You can't do that with 10,000 people a day, so you slow that flow down. I think that's how we do it safely. But this is not a European problem. This is fundamentally a transatlantic problem at the very least, if not a global problem. We're all in this together.
Are our agencies working with German and French agencies to figure out who the potential bad guys are? Obviously, that's the biggest concern.
It is the biggest concern, and the answer is yes. There is very strong transatlantic cooperation at all levels, looking at intelligence, looking at the biometrics, looking at all the high-tech ways we can do this, as well as putting people on the ground to try and understand exactly who we're dealing with as people come across. Yes.
The immediacy, Admiral, of your quote in Foreign Policy magazine recently here on the 100,000 that we would have from, that we would rather take into the United States. We should first and foremost agree to take a significant number of refugees, as many as 100,000. Thus far, the administration is committed to taking 10,000. That is far too few. We know that, but I also know in every single article that the nations are overwhelmed with the influx. Which institutions will help the U.S., will help Germany, and for that matter, help Switzerland?
I think first and foremost, the private sector and our network of families here in the United States and in Europe can do a great deal in this space, Tom. And we're seeing that in Germany already, and we have a long history of that here in the United States. In terms of international institutions, the UN High Commissioner for Refugee, the various international non-governmental organizations from Red Cross to Doctors Without Borders have significant role to play here. And then finally, I would say our militaries have a role to play here. Huge manpower, a lot of capability, a lot of logistic muscle. If needed, you could see NATO stepping in and helping with the humanitarian side of this. Could be the same here. Listen, the United States can easily absorb 100,000 refugees.
Admiral, we go to you so often to help understand the Middle East. What is the responsibility of the Gulf states in this crisis, and how can they be urged to meet it?
Their responsibility is huge, and let's face it, everything we've talked about thus far is palliative. That's dealing with symptoms. We really need to go to the source, and it's the incredible unrest, the Sunni-Shia war that's occurring in the Levant, in the Near Middle East, and the Gulf states have the money, they have the capability, and they can help us tamp down ISIS, which is a Sunni phenomena. At the same time, they can stand as a bulwark against what Iran is doing on the Shia side.
Right.
Their responsibilities are huge. We need to get close to them.
Let's switch to the application, Admiral, of the Fletcher School of Diplomacy. What is the Stavridis prescription for what the Obama administration should do on Syria?
I would argue first and foremost it's an international solution. We're not going to solve it unilaterally. That means building out this coalition to include, as we were just discussing, the Gulf states. We need to get Turkey more engaged in the game with ground troops on Syrian territory. We have to ramp up. What we can do is ramp up the bombing side of this thing.
Right.
We need more special forces in the country, and we need to play the long game, which is the diplomatic soft power side as well.
Admiral, thank you so much. James Stavridis with Tufts.